Welcome back to the Drexel Sports Zone, the show where we recap all things Drexel and Philadelphia sports. I am your host, Luciano Duffy. Let's jump right into it. When President Trump said that, quote, bad things happen in Philadelphia, us sports fans were quick to back him up on that. Fans took to Twitter to trash the Phillies for blowing the end of the season, as well as the bullpen. They also mentioned the lackluster start to the Eagles season, as well as the overall suffering Philly sports fans have endured over the years. However, this past week left Philly fans with more to cheer about, rather than boo. With the surprise firing of Doc Rivers, the 76ers found their coaching plans upended. Originally narrowing it down to Mike D'Antoni and Tyronn Lue, Philly had a change of heart. They were able to fly Doc Rivers out last Wednesday, and after meeting with the general manager, Elton Brand, both sides moved quickly to ink a multi-year deal. Reports on Wednesday night said that Lue was no longer in the running, and on Thursday it came out that Rivers had agreed to a 5-year deal with the Sixers. He reunites with Tobias Harris, who had an underwhelming season for the Sixers last year. Rivers was the best candidate available, as he has the most experience and results of the bunch. His coaching experience dates back to 1999, where he started as the Orlando Magic head coach. In just his second year in the league, he won Coach of the Year as he took a team that was projected to finish one of the worst in the league to a near playoff berth. He later had long tenures with the Celtics and Clippers. With the Celtics, he won the NBA championship in 2008 and then made the finals again in 2010. In 2013, he was traded for an unprotected first-round pick from the Celtics to the Clippers. As the Clippers head coach, he garnered a reputation for losing in the first round. The Clippers eventually fired him after their reloaded roster lost in this year's conference semifinals. One man's trash is the next man's treasure, and the 76ers stumbled themselves on gold. Another Flyers week goes by, and you know what that means. Another signing. It's again a role player, as the Flyers bring back goalie Brian Elliott. The 35-year-old came back on a pay cut for a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. This is his third deal with the Flyers, as this one comes as a $500,000 pay decrease from the $2 million he made last year. Elliott is the backup to the young Carter Hart, but has stepped up nicely when called upon. When Hart went 0-3-0 to start the season, Elliott stepped in and went 3-0-0. Then in January, when Hart was sidelined with a lower abdominal injury, Elliott stepped up once again and went 5-1-1 with 2 shutouts. Next up for the Flyers is the NHL draft. They hold the 23rd pick. At this pick, and with the current state of the Flyers roster, they have the choice to take a big swing at a boom or bust prospect. In recent Phillies news, Matt Klintak has stepped down from his general manager role. Over the past 5 years, Klintak has brought in big-name players such as Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, and Zach Wheeler. However, he wasn't able to build a team that made the postseason. The main issue is that JT Realmuto is still not signed to a long-term deal. This forced the Phillies to take matters into their own hands. Now, they must look for a new GM fast and try to make a play at Realmuto as a free agent. Right now, this move is addition by subtraction for the Phillies, as they are making moves in the right direction. If they can find a way to get a competent GM and start the new MLB season with the best catcher in baseball on their roster, then they'll be set up for a bright future. After weeks of misery for the Eagles, last week's matchup with the 49ers left Eagles fans hitting their pillow with a smile on their face. After Carson Wentz threw an interception off of a tipped ball in the opening drive, the Eagles' defense was able to force a 3-and-out. Wentz proceeded to march down the field, where he ran a read option into the end zone himself to put the Eagles on the board. Doug Peterson then elected to go for 2, which seems like a play call that came a week late, but ultimately it put the Eagles up 8-0. The Eagles gave up 14 unanswered points, but were able to close the gap with a 35-yard field goal by Jake Elliott to make the game 11-14. The Eagles' defensive line played well as they brought pressure to quarterback Nick Mullins play after play. After a strip sack by Clevon LeBlanc in the fourth quarter, the Eagles were set up nicely in 49ers territory to take the lead. On a 2nd and long, Carson Wentz was able to hit Travis Fulgham on a beautiful pass on which he scored to put the Eagles up 18-14. If you've never heard that name before, don't worry. Not many have. Fulgham was just called up from the Eagles practice squad after spending time in Green Bay as a 6th-round pick. The no-name heroics continued as on the defensive side of the ball, Nick Mullins threw a pass directly to Eagles linebacker Alex Singleton, who proceeded to run it in for 6. This pretty much sealed the game as the 49ers benched Nick Mullins for C.J. Beathard and were only able to close the gap 25-20. With this win, the Eagles move to 1-2-1 and take first place in the division that saw the other 3 teams lose this week. Next week, the Eagles play the 3-0 Steelers, who had their bye week this week due to Titans players testing positive for COVID. Let's just say the Steelers are a really good football team this year, and they're working off extra rest and preparation. But that's no challenge for the next no-name player to step up for the Eagles. Another group of teams that find themselves in first place are your Drexel Dragons. As fall sports were canceled by Drexel, they remained tied for first after another week, simply undefeated. That's all for now. I'll catch you next week.